welcome back to Bookish Theories. In today's video, we'd like to talk about ATEEZ The Real, focusing on a little breakdown and analysis of the lyrics and the music video to see what they can tell us about the concept and the storyline. The Real is a song co-written by Jung and Mingi that encourages you to embrace the real you in the process of becoming an adult. Like San explained in the press release, this is a song that in many respects is meant to show all the colors of ATEEZ's music, but the focus on the themes of kindness and humility are also meant to highlight the concept the real beauty is the beauty that people have inside of themselves. You see, to a certain extent, we can say that The Real is an homage to authenticity. The point of the song is to try to define what it really means to be cool, not in the sense of what society thinks is stylish, but rather what makes a person real and authentic. In the song, real coolness is a quality defined by the values that we carry inside of ourselves. It's not what we wear, it's not the people we hang out with, and it's not even what we look like. What really makes us cool are the values that make us stay true to ourselves, so even if the song is meant to encourage self-expression, it's also meant to remind us not to lose sight of the values that make us good people at the core. Now in the song, this idea is also explored by criticizing the hypocrisy of society, because when it comes to manners and morals, people tend to give more importance to appearance than to substance. In the song, for instance, the boys call out those who judge others but think that they are moral because they bow to 90 degrees. As the lyrics tell us, these are people that walk loudly carrying an empty cart, and this is a saying that means that those who are the loudest are usually the least successful. Those who criticize, talk and judge are the very people that should look at themselves first, and ATEEZ know this hypocrisy because to an extent they already called it out back in Thanks. You see, back then, the boys criticized the older generations for judging younger people's appearance and behavior. These are people that expect respect but never give it in return. They are those who think that manners equals morals, and those who think that the way that you look actually reflects the person that you are. If back in Thanks ATEEZ only wanted to be left alone, however, now that they are graduating and were able to overcome their moment of turbulence, the boys will not stay silent anymore. Now they finally understood who they are, and this person is passionate and moral at the same time. This is the real coolness here. It's being able to live by your passion and follow your dreams, while at the same time not compromising on the values that make you the person that you are. As San tells us, for instance, the boys live their lives in flames, but even so, they still keep humble and kindness because it's their beliefs that actually makes them cool. Even if people think that they're the problem, the protagonist of the story is never the one who causes the drama, so in the song ATEEZ keep on dancing, not only to show their true colors, but also to celebrate who they are in spite of what people might think. You see, in both the song and reality, the boys don't care about what people say because they know the real recognizes real, and people like you accept them for the people that they are. Because of that, the song is also meant to teach you to embrace yourself in the same way, because the real coolness is following your own style no matter what society might actually say. As the song tells us, worrying about the opinion of those who judge us might actually turn us into people just like them, and this is not a good thing because these people have it backwards. You see, according to society, being mature means to bend down, to stay silent, to keep your head low, and being polite for the sake of politeness, but this is not the right style. This is a style that wants to destroy authenticity for the sake of appearance, and ATEEZ have had it with this style because real coolness lies in being true to yourself and your ideals. Now in the video, this whole concept is explored with a story that shows us the different colors of ATEEZ's style. In contrast to videos like Deja Vu and Fireworks, for instance, this time around the video doesn't seem to follow the storyline told in the diary because the events that are portrayed in the album are actually more similar to what we saw back in the Kingdom stages. As we already discussed in my previous videos, in the storyline, Yeosan got stuck in the other dimension to save the others, and now the 7 members have to find a way to go back even if the chromer is broken. In the diary, the boys find another device, stage a heist in order to steal it, and fight a literal cult in the process of doing so by the looks of it, the real doesn't have anything to do with that at all. The events that take place in the diary this time actually connect us right back to the Treasure series and Say My Name, so if you want me to make a separate video about that, let me know in the comments down below. Since in the real they only reference small details about the diary, however, today I'm gonna focus on the separate story that they're telling us in the video because that alone has quite a lot to unpack. You see, as I mentioned earlier, this is a song that essentially represents ATEEZ's graduation from youth. After being overcome by the turbulence of this stage of life, the reel portrays the boys finally coming into themselves and embracing every quality that makes them special. As we'll see in a second, what makes ATEEZ the group that it is a combination of different styles that when put together creates a mix that actually works. Even if they all have different vibes, the fact that all of them share the same core values allows them to work together and create a group that is able to stand out for its authenticity. One thing that is important to point out, however, is that in order for this recipe to work, ATEEZ need all 8 members to be together, and in the video this is exactly the point of the story. You see, if the song is meant to portray the different colors of ATEEZ's style, in the video the members portray the process of mixing these colors together in order to create the perfect blend. At the beginning, for instance, the video opens with Mingi approaching the gates of the ATEEZ high school. This is a location that by the end of the video we'll see the birth of the ATEEZ that we know, but at the beginning we get the sense that something is still missing because Mingi is yet to arrive and the boys are divided into units separated by style. We have Hanjung and Sungwa wearing hanbok, Jungwoo and Yuno playing the role of bikers, and Woojang and Sun belonging to the school's baseball team. Each of these groups think that their style is the coolest, and to a certain extent they are right because each of them represents a different quality that makes ATEEZ the group that it is. Hanjung and Sungwa, for instance, represent the tradition of humility and kindness. We see these values written all over the room, and the members themselves embodying these values in the video itself. If Sungwa carries around a giant brush that reminds us of these qualities, Hanjung in particular is associated to the concept of humility. We see him writing down this word over and over again, and on his fan he has a phrase that refers to the concept of rejecting something out of modesty. Since the song tells us that being humble and kind are core values of ATEEZ's style, in the video these qualities are fittingly represented by the 2 oldest members, but even if we're off to a great start, we still need other ingredients as well. This is where Jungwoo and Yuno come into play because as we see in the video, they embody the concepts of faith, loyalty and belief. These are qualities that focus on the importance to stay true to your ideals and the people that you share them with, so in the video they belong to a gang to better express these values, but also to highlight the fact that sometimes you need to be rebellious in order to honor your beliefs. On top of that, it's also important to point out that the bikers might also be a reference to the storyline itself, because in the new diary, Yuno is actually a biker together with his brother. Next up, we have Woojang and Sun, who fittingly belong to the handball baseball team. Once again, the concept of humility is front and center in this context, but the qualities that the 2 of them represent are actually determination and passion. These are qualities that we can see written in the background of the scenes that focus on them, but Sun in particular is mostly associated to passion, which in the story is actually represented by the bat that he carries around. This bat represents the flaming passion that he lives by, and this idea is also conveyed visually because when the bat catches on fire, we can read the word passion alongside Sun's name. As you can see, even if each of the boys have their own style, each of them brings something to the table and every quality is as important as the next. Sungwa and Hanjung represent tradition, humility and kindness, Jungwoo and Yuno are rebellious but also loyal and faithful, while Woojang and Sun embody passion, determination as well as teamwork itself. As we see in the video, these groups are initially at war with one another, and even if Mingi's appearance will lead to an escalation, it seems that these units were fighting for supremacy even before his arrival. One member that is staying out of it, however, is none other than Yeosang, which is a character that looks at the events from afar and chooses not to mix with any style in particular. Now this could be a reference to the fact that in the story, Yeosang is isolated from the rest of the group, but another possible explanation is that he might be playing a specific role that will only be revealed at the end. As the boys themselves have confirmed, Mingi and Yeosang are the protagonists of this video, and I think that both of them are key characters to understand what is going on. In order to understand Yeosang's role, however, we first need to understand Mingi's, so let's break it down to see what's going on. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the story follows Mingi's first day at the ATEEZ high school, which is a location where people are divided into 3 factions, each of which are ruled by 2 members. When Mingi comes into play, however, this order is suddenly put into question because Mingi is a protagonist with special powers that immediately demands the attention of all the students in the school. As we see in the video, the 6 leaders of the factions are not immune to Mingi's presence, so as soon as they get the news of his arrival, all of them rush to the classroom to meet this new individual. Now at the beginning, it's safe to say that the reaction is not very welcoming because as soon as they meet Mingi, the leaders try to intimidate him in front of the class. Their attempt, however, is unsuccessful because Mingi stays unbothered and doesn't seem to care about the tactics of the others. Now the reason why this might be can actually be found in the book that he's reading, because in the video Ming is studying a book about morality. Since morals are a combination of principles that distinguish right from wrong, him having strong morals implies that he knows who he is and doesn't concern himself with the opinion of others. As we already established before, all the leaders have values of their own, but Ming's morals are portrayed like a superpower. Like we see in the scene of the bully, Ming's morals is what gives him strength and what makes him invincible, and this is because his character is strong enough to make him untouchable. Bear in mind that the whole point of the song is the real coolness are the values that you have inside of yourself, so even if the others are all cool in their own way, Ming is the coolest because he embodies all the values at once. While the leaders still concern themselves with the opinion of others and feel like they have something to prove, Ming has got morality on his side. He's his own person, he knows his power, and doesn't need to prove anything to anybody because he's cool whether or not people agree. As we see in the background, for instance, Ming's character can actually be described with the saying "still waters run deep." This is a phrase that means that people who seem calm on the surface actually hide the most passionate nature inside of themselves, so while the others are being loud for no reason, Ming stays calm because he doesn't need to make noise to prove his point. As we see in the scene of the courtyard, for instance, while the leaders confront each other, Ming is nowhere to be found, and this is because there is no reason for him to be there. Another character that is staying silent, however, is actually Yosang, who in turn is present but doesn't get involved in the confrontation. Now, the reason why I think this might be is because in the story, Yosang seems to be a balancing force among the different styles at war with each other. Much like in the diary film, Yosang is associated to doves, and if back then these birds symbolized freedom, in a more general context, doves are a symbol of peace. In the video, I think that these birds might actually represent both, and in this context, Yosang is the embodiment of these ideals because he's feeding the doves, but he's also eating the bread himself. In a world where people always try to prove that they're cooler than anybody else, Yosang is the one carrying the message that you are free to be whoever you want and peacefully coexist with those who are different from you. Even if Yosang embodies this message, however, this message is yet to be understood by the others because soon enough the leaders end up challenging Ming in front of the entire school. This is the moment his passionate nature is finally revealed, and when Ming eventually speaks his mind, something magical actually takes place. You see, the moment the final confrontation goes down, Ming's morality confronts one representative of each style. Songhua goes in for the traditional purists, Jungkook represents the rebellious bikers, and Woo-yang stands in for the passionate athletes. When the four of them eventually fight each other, this confrontation creates a ray of light that tells Yosang that his moment has finally come, and sure enough, this is exactly what happens next. As we see at the end, the War of the Styles creates a revised edition of what it really means to be cool. This is a manual that is created the moment different styles are brought together by morality, so by the end this unity brings peace, and this is symbolized by Yosang finally joining the rest of the group. You see, if the leaders each represent a style, Yosang represents this style that eventually brings peace among them all. This is the revised edition in the flesh. It's the style of ATEEZ themselves that is created when the morality that Mingi represents brings together different people, uniting them as one. Since real recognizes real, at the end the rivals recognize each other because as different as they have common values that highlight the beauty that everyone has inside of themselves. All of them are humble and kind, passionate and determined, as well as loyal and faithful, so it's not important what you look like because all that matters is that you are a real one on the inside. So that's it from me today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, please think about liking and subscribing. As always, thank you so much for watching guys. I'll see you next time. Bye bye!